Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to this episode of Veterans Rides. I'm your host, Duane Moore. For today's episode, we're going to be speaking with our guest, Frank Martinez. We're going to be talking about his car. See right behind me. It is a 2017 Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. And of course, at the end of the episode, I'm going to be taking it out for a spin. So a little bit about our guest. He is a U.S. Navy veteran, and he spent 8 years with the U.S. Navy. During that time, he did 2 overseas deployments, and he got out at the rank of E5. A little bit about his job in the Navy. He was a aviation electronics technician, and simply put, what they do is they fix various electrical components amongst, around the aircraft. So that is a little bit of our guest. Let's go ahead and welcome him to the show. Frank, come on down.
Dwayne, good to see you.
Hey, thank you so much for being the show, man.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So I always start off with this question: Why this car? Why did you get this car?
So as we were talking previously, I had planned on doing a video about my Cayman, and unfortunately we had an accident with a 1500 hit me and I had to replace it. So I looked online for a replacement Cayman, couldn't find one at the price bracket, and I stumbled across this. I did my research and I came to the conclusion that this is the best that I'm going to get at my price point. I drove it and I fell in love with it, and it came home with me.
And I do remember the Cayman. We had talked about it, I think, about a year ago. And also I'm glad to hear that you weren't seriously injured in that accident.
I appreciate that,
because you just don't know how bad it's gonna get. So that's
Amen.
Good. There's a lot going on in this car in terms of performance and handling and things like that, luxury. Was there one specific thing that caught your eye?
The handling.
The handling, okay.
Well, I came out of a 2007 Cayman, which is one of the best handling cars that you could get at that price, and comparatively it's very close. That the horsepower, the top speed, everything, that's just an added bonus.
Yeah, and you know, I think in a lot of ways it's a lot more practical to go for a nicer handling car than most cars, because it's outrageous that we have 500 to 800 horsepower cars coming stock from the factory. I mean, what's gonna happen when you step on the gas? Like, you're probably gonna get pulled over for speeding, right?
Go to jail.
Go to jail, exactly. But in a car like this, you can take the corners slightly faster, get a little bit of a thrill, and really not put yourself or anybody else in jeopardy. And I just think it's a lot more practical.
Oh, don't get me wrong, you can still get to triple digits like that, but it's easier to control yourself.
Yeah. Gotta ask, do you have another vehicle, or is this the car that you daily?
This is my daily.
Okay. Is that normal in the Alfa Romeo community?
Yes, it is. A lot of the Quadrifoglio owners daily their cars, even up in the north, where the weather gets really bad. And this is a rear-wheel drive car.
They up when it snows and stuff? Wow. Sounds pretty dangerous. Man, well, hey, I'm looking forward to learning more about the car. Hey, so at this time, let's go ahead and take a look at the vehicle.
Starting at the front end here, I have this beautiful carbon fiber lip splitter. It'll come down at 15 degrees at 77 miles an hour in dynamic and race mode. It'll give me an additional 220 pounds of downforce up front. Up over here, I have the Alfa Romeo signature heart-shaped grille. We have the colored badge as well, and then the beautiful volcano black metallic paint. Now, if we go up on the hood itself, you can see the beautiful creasing, but you also see these humongous vent louvers. Those are there for 2 reasons: aiding airflow, additional downforce, not much, and cooling of the engine bay, because that engine gets warm under full load. On the wheel section here, on my tires, we're running Continental DWS 06 Pluses, 19-inch. Below that, we have the 5-spoke clover wheels with the Alfa Romeo badge in the center, alloys as well. Behind that, we have 14-inch Brembo rotors and a 6-piston Brembo front brake design. Moving forward to that, we have the vent work, which takes part of the aerodynamics and downforce system. Above that, we have one of the most important pieces on this car, the Quadrifoglio badge. The story behind that is, during 1923, during Alfa's racing career, one of their drivers, Ugo Savocci, was always coming in second place. So, to break the bad luck, he drew a white square and a diamond layout with the 4-leaf clover to give him some luck. He started to win after that, taking first place in many races. Well, that next year, he died in a car that didn't have it. So what Alfa did is they chopped off the lower corner of that, making it into a triangle shape. And that's how they signify all their top-end models. So here under the hood, we have the star of the show, the 2.9 liter V6 twin turbo Ferrari derived 690T motor. It's based off the Ferrari F-154, which is most known for the California T. It produces 505 horsepower and 443 foot-pounds of torque. Twin turboed, as I said, single scrolls from IHI. Over here you have your engine cover, kind of looks like the Predator's helmet, so I love it. It's got the Quadrifoglio badge in the middle. You have two different radiator systems and coolant systems, one for the turbos, one for the actual block itself. And as you can see, it's a very tight fit motor. It's a rear mid-engine completely sitting over the axles. And then as we move up, we get to see the other star, the carbon fiber hood with the vent louvers, which you can see all the way through. Starting off on the passenger side, we have the comfort seats. They're also available with Recaros. Unfortunately, they weren't on this vehicle. You have the Alfa Romeo crest embossed, as well as deviated red stitching, which you'll see throughout the cabin on the dash and on the armrest. The seats have thigh bolster movement, as well as full adjustability. They hug really well, specifically with the shoulder bolstering. And unfortunately, they don't come with cooling on the Quadrifoglio models. You have your center tunnel here, which includes your media controls with these two, as well as the fun switch, which allows you to go through drive modes. You can be in advanced efficiency, which will get you 32 miles to the gallon on the highway. You can trick over to natural mode, which I never use. Dynamic, which is what in most of my driving's done in, gives me 450 horsepower. And then you switch it over to race mode all the way. It opens up the baffles and gives you the full 500 horsepower while turning off every single safety feature: electronic stability control, traction control, pre-collision detection avoidance, everything. Moving up here, you have your ZF 8-speed transmission. In race mode, it will do 150 millisecond shifts, which is very close to dual clutch speeds. Moving up to the center stack, we have your environmental controls, air conditioning, heating. Moving up, you have your infotainment screen, which is laid in beautifully with the dash. As you can tell, it just has this beautiful flow, which is better than a tablet stuck up top, in my opinion. Leather wrapped dash. And then moving over, we have the driver's side. The beautiful switch gear that we use for upshift, downshift, which are column mounted, not steering wheel mounted, my preference. As the steering wheel goes, it's not super beefy, but I think it's just the right thickness. Going on, you have the Alfa Romeo badge dead center, and then you have the start-stop button, which looks kind of like something off of a Ferrari. Into the center stack of into the driver's console, you have a analog tachometer and speedometer, as well as a center display, which can display various sorts of things. And on the back end, we can kind of show you how it'll differentiate from a base model Giulia. You have this beautiful carbon fiber lip spoiler back here. Moving down, you have your Alfa Romeo badge. That's on everyone. But when we get down here is where things get really interesting. This carbon fiber Italian flag was what the previous owner put on. I loved it, so I kept it. Further below that, you get into a Ferrari F1 style rear diffuser, which is a genuine rear diffuser. It's not just a stick on that people put to look cool. And then you have the quad exhausts. You can see they're slightly offset. In race mode, the baffles will be open and it has a much deeper growl. In dynamic mode, the baffles will open up over 4,000 RPM. Otherwise, you have a very quiet ride.
All right, it's that time of the show, my favorite part of the show, which is where we go for a drive. So let's go ahead and get going. So we're here on the road, and as you guys know, we are here in Jacksonville. So if you are an Eagle Eye fan and you happen to see a stadium, it is the Jaguar Stadium. So you're absolutely right. Currently right now we're on dynamic mode. I'm gonna step on the gas and see what that feels like. Oh yeah, gotta slow down. Gotta slow down. Okay, that's good. That's good. I shifted to race mode. Let's see what that acceleration feels like. Oh, oh, okay. Yeah, I do understand it only gives, I mean, I don't want to say only, it's 75 horsepower, but it feels like it just, oh, dude, it's really touchy now.
The throttle gets tighter. So,
yeah.
like I told you earlier, in race mode,
I'll put it back in dynamic.
in race mode, your throttle pedal will give you 80% of the power at 50% throttle. So it becomes a game of inches with this thing, or a game of millimeters, really.
We know what this car is.
Yeah.
I mean, we do. I was a fan of it when I first heard about it. You know, out in the streets, do people know what it is? Do people are like, hey, like let's go on the light or something like that? Or
Oh no,
on the highway?
you never get anyone pulling up rev up on you, which is great. But you know, sometimes you're in a parking lot or a gas station and somebody knows what it is, and that's exciting because you get someone who wants to know, hey, does that really handle like it does? Or is that thing as fast as they say it is? You know, or they get the infamous, how many times is it broken down? How many times?
Ask you that?
Yeah, I've had that asked. Because, you know, Alfa Romeo's got a real bad reputation of being an unreliable car.
That sounds kind of like a rude question. It's like, hey, how much money do you have, or how much money do you pay taxes? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't ask a car guy that.
I know, but you got to remember, they're not really car people that ask that, right?
That's true. You know, it's this question is kind of in line with do people try to race you? Do you have any stories with this vehicle of people like maybe, like I said, like stopping you, talking to you about it, or like just one time some guy's like, hey, I know what that car is, let's go.
So I was in Costco, I came out and I was carrying a box of groceries, and this guy and his girlfriend were standing out in front of the car, and I stopped and just listened to what they're saying about the car. And he was sitting there explaining to his girlfriend how this is a super rare car, it's amazing, it's got a Ferrari motor under the hood. Give or take, we don't know that's true, although I've heard word on the street is it does come out of the Ferrari factory. But
I've heard that too.
he was sitting there and just so excited, and I walked up and I said, oh wow, it's a really cool car. He's like, do you know what this is? And he started to tell me about it, and I was like, oh man, you're a real fan. And then I opened the door, put the stuff in, and he just saw his eyes light up like, oh, this is yours.
The great thing about the show is I have wonderful veterans that want to be in the show, that allow me to drive their cars. But one thing we're not like an in-depth thing. I don't get to spend a lot of time with the car, but anytime I spend with the car, I'm just very appreciative of it. The little time I did spend in this car, it's very mind-blowing. I already forgot this car is 500 horsepower, you know, with just how smooth it is and how smooth it goes through the corner. The little bit of time we spent in race mode, just that throttle is just really touchy. And driven a lot of cars, driven some race cars, and it reminds me of that. The drive-by brake is something new to me, but I'm getting used to it. I really enjoy it, and for me, I think this is a really nice, really great car. You know, as the world moves towards EV cars and things like that, cars like this are just gonna get more and more rare. This car was already rare to begin with, but to wrap it all up, I love this car. like for real, and I'm looking forward to spending some more time once the cameras go off. So if you guys like what you see, smash that like button. This is goodbye for now, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Bye.